Welcome to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
Robot company that's trying to develop stuff that regenerates itself with flesh.
Oh, what?
I think it's for war. It's attempting to create some sort of energy out of natural matter. And then the big conspiracy is like they're going to kill the enemy and then eat the enemy so they can keep walking and kill more of the enemy.
So it's just zombies.
Yeah, it's a literal company.
Oh, yeah. The Energetic Autonomous Tactical Robot, EATR.
Yeah, Eater.
Who said it was intended to consume vegetation, not animals. One of the robot's inventors told. That's crazy. That it's just like, but it's intended to eat plants. But what if it chooses to eat flesh?
It's called Eater, dude.
Also, why do robots need to eat?
No, it's literally their
energy source.
Yeah.
That's 100% real. That's crazy. I mean, that's the next evolution of it. Obviously, if labs can create lab-grown animals and stuff, I mean, that's just, it's fuel. It's like, they're not real animals.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. But then it's like, what happens if it gets hungry? It gets locked in a house or something.
I see that going real bad.
Yeah, for real.
Dude, your dog's in half when you get home from the grocery store.
Dinner is done.
This was my first time hearing about this, and I was under the impression that they were just concerned that it may be potentially possible for this thing to eat something other than vegetation. But when you go to their official website and read their own description, it says it can find, ingest, and extract energy from biomass in the environment and other organically based energy sources. That's a pretty odd way to say it eats plants. It sounds to me like, by their own description, that they're implying this thing may actually eat bunnies and raccoons and other stuff as well. And as if the thing wasn't creepy enough already, it was apparently developed under a project of DARPA. So this isn't just some company building prototypes. This thing is probably actually going to be utilized in the field. That's crazy.
Japan just created universal artificial blood that works for all blood types, and it's purple. Scientists at Nara Medical University developed purple blood that eliminates the need for type matching. Whether you're A, B, or O, this artificial blood works on everyone instantly. Here's how they did it. They take hemoglobin from expired donated blood and wrap it in protective synthetic shells, creating virus-free artificial red blood cells that are actually safer than real blood. Regular blood lasts 42 days in the fridge. This artificial blood, 2 years at room temperature, 5 years refrigerated, that's 24 times longer. Think about the impact. Paramedics could carry universal blood that doesn't need refrigeration and works on anyone. No more people dying because the wrong blood type wasn't available during emergencies. They're in phase 2 human trials right now, testing up to 400 milliliter doses on volunteers. Phase 1 proved it's completely safe with only mild side effects. Commercial availability is targeted for 2030. This solves blood shortages, eliminates infection risk, and ends mismatched transfusion deaths. Japan will be the first country with commercial artificial blood. Emergency rooms, ambulances, and military medics worldwide could have instant access to life-saving blood that never expires. We're looking at saving millions of lives globally. The fact that it's purple makes it even more futuristic. In 6 years, this could be flowing through emergency rooms everywhere. Would you infuse this artificial blood in your system to save your life?
Absolutely not. This guy is talking about this stuff like he's a paid spokesman for the company or something. I don't think this is going to be the breakthrough they're claiming it's going to be. Is this guy not noticing all the stuff coming out now about the last medical intervention they tried to push on us to save millions of lives? After everything that's happened over the last several years, after all the deceptive practices that were put in place to get us to comply with something that none of us wanted any part of, I trust the medical industry about as much as I trust NASA. They have ruined their credibility. I'd rather die and go home than to put that stuff in my body. Hey, don't forget to click like and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my merch store at berry-stepp.com.
There is a very strange compilation of videos going around that shows children being terrified by AI assistants like Alexa. I want you to check it out real quick.
Alexa! Hey Google! Hey Google, what's the weather like tomorrow? Hey Google! Are you ready to go memes? Hey Google. Hi Madison. Hey Google, what's the temperature outside? Okay Google, turn on the lamp. It's okay, it's okay.
Many people believe that those children aren't just being dramatic, but instead are actually reacting to some sort of spirit or demonic spirit connected to those devices. As you know, children are a lot more sensitive to light and the world around us in general, so maybe they did detect something. It was also pointed out that a lot of the children were doing the same pose where they were ducking or almost bowing down. But leave a like and let me know what you think about all this in the comments.
That is creepy. Not just the reaction of the kids, but the fact that the parents are doing this intentionally and then standing there laughing at their children while they're freaking out. What the heck is wrong with these people? They need to move that thing into another room where their kids can't see it or even hear them talking about it if it's making them freak out that bad. Or better yet, just throw the thing away. I don't know what could be causing this unless in the past their parents have activated this thing and the volume was up too loud and it startled or scared them. So now whenever they hear somebody talk to this device, they just assume that it's going to be really loud and hurt their ears and scare them again. That's the only explanation I can think of at the moment. But I didn't see any of the kids covering their ears, so I doubt that's the actual explanation. What do y'all think is going on here?
Someone smuggled a cell phone out of North Korea. So North Korea banned the internet, basically. They have like their own internet, but there's no way to see what's happening outside North Korea. But their phones, it's a smartphone, but it has basically nothing on it. But they do it to where if you text certain things, it changes the word. So one of them, I guess a very popular term in South Korea is like brother, but it's like yo dude or like whatever. And when you type in brother on that phone, it autocorrects it to comrade, and then it has like a notification that says you can only use this word when referring to someone in your family. And then if you type in South Korea, it switches to puppet state.
They're literally controlling speech, like the words you use.
Yeah, but what it also does is every 5 minutes it takes a screenshot of your phone and stores it in a folder on your phone that you can't look at. Only the authorities can look at it.
Oh man.
So it showed like this whole folder of screenshots, but it was like blurred out, and then like authorities have access to look at the screenshots.
When something gets texted or sent, they get flagged, they can go through it immediately.
Yeah.
Well, there's just a digital middleman in every conversation now.
Yeah, I believe it. I so believe it.
Yeah, and then later on, they're definitely going to be controlling certain things, like especially when things go awry. Like they'll have to control certain info or ways of speech.
Yeah.
I bet the only difference between that North Korean phone and an American phone is that the people in North Korea know they're being spied on. So because of that, they're probably more careful about what they're doing on their devices. The US government is probably watching our phones just as closely as North Korea is watching the phones of its citizens. They just do a slightly better job of hiding it so we have the illusion of free speech. They already tried to do some sort of soft rollout of something like this back whenever the election was going on. You would type in a derogatory word in your text box and it would autocorrect to Trump. People caught it pretty much immediately, so they had to go in and fix it and then play stupid and act like they didn't know how that happened. But plenty of people got it on video. And we know that our phones are constantly taking scans of our faces when we're using them. Those spying features are just hidden better on our devices.
Have you ever heard of the story of the 100 monkeys?
The 100 monkeys is an experiment. He's right on in his final point. He just missed some of the details. The 100 monkeys was an experiment performed by some Japanese scientists, I believe. They took sweet potatoes and they dropped them on this island for the monkeys to eat up by the tree line. Monkeys all love the sweet potatoes. They start eating them. And then the scientists start dropping the sweet potatoes in the sand. Well, now there's sand on the sweet potatoes, and that's a problem. The monkeys don't want to eat them. So they take 2 of the monkeys, and they teach the monkeys to take the sweet potatoes down to the water and wash the sand off them. Then they take those monkeys back to the island, put them with the rest of them. Every day, those 2 monkeys that know how to wash the sweet potatoes teach a couple more monkeys to wash the sweet potatoes. This continues until the number grows, until it gets to 100 monkeys. Now, once 100 monkeys knew to take the sweet potatoes down to the water and wash the sand off them, it all switched. Now, suddenly, all the monkeys on the island immediately, once it hit 100, to take the sweet potatoes down to the water, wash the sand off them, no more sand on your sweet potatoes. They thought this was very interesting. So then they tried the experiment on the next island over. Now the monkeys on the next island had never even had contact with the monkeys from the other island. And now suddenly all the monkeys know to take your sand-covered sweet potatoes down to the water, wash the sand off. What is that? It's collective consciousness. So everybody talking about What does it matter if I wake one more person up to the reality of this madness we're living in? Well, we could be just 1 or 2 monkeys away from hitting 100. That's the point. It does matter. We're all connected. And once we hit that tipping point, we can all wake up to the reality that we're getting played like a bunch of rubes. Let's make it to 100 monkeys, everybody.
As reasons to spread awareness go, I have not heard many that are as good as that one. We may be just a handful of people away from waking up the masses, and there certainly seems to be a shift happening. That can only be explained by a massive amount of people all waking up to the fact that this reality is not what we're told it is. The beautiful thing is, when you do wake up and finally see the truth, the world becomes a much more magical place, and you just can't help but to want to spread that truth because it's so amazing you want everybody else to have it. The world is going to get much darker before we reach our final days, but that doesn't mean that we all have to go down with it.
Speaking of AI taking over the world and robots taking over the world, have you guys ever heard of this man named Paul Tudor Jones? Well, he's a billionaire hedge fund manager, dude. But I saw this interview with him on CNBC, and it was crazy. It's a hedge fund manager, and he was on there to talk about like the stock prices and stuff like that. And he's like, I don't want to talk about that right now. I kind of want to talk about something I just experienced. And apparently he went to this pretty private meeting with these AI producers or AI technicians, CEOs of AI companies. And he's like, the lack of security and the limitations that are not being put on AI seem to pose a security threat for AI advancing too quickly to where it could be detrimental to humanity. And all the CEOs are like, yeah, that's correct. And so the next question was, well, what are you doing about it? But he said the CEO said he's buying 100 acres in the Midwest and getting cows and chickens and laying in provisions. Because he said it's unstoppable at this point.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's terrifying. What? He said that
they know a lot.
It's going to take an accident to where 50 to 100 million people have to die to make the world understand the threat of AI. He's saying that it will pretty much be impossible to stop until at least 100 million people die as a result of AI. He's like there to talk about stocks, and he's like, I don't want to talk about stocks. This is scary.
What's the point of having stocks if we're all dead?
Yeah, and then he said, then they did this like a panel discussion to where they would ask a question, and then you'd either go on this side of the room or that side of the room for agree or disagree to the question. Mm-hmm. And the question was, or the prompt, or proposition, I should say, was posed to these people. The proposition was, there's a 10% chance in the next 20 years that AI will kill 50% of humanity. And the majority of people went to disagree. 4 people went to agree, including Paul Tudor Jones, because he's like, I watched Joe Rogan. But the 4 people that were standing with him were all the top AI developers.
Oh, his whole job is like
risk.
Calculating risk.
He's like, I mean, this is all I see with AI.
These warnings about AI just seem to be falling on deaf ears. They're pretty much saying they're expecting it to go off the rails, they're expecting it to cause harm, and they've accepted it. It looks like their plan is to just let whatever happens happen and just deal with it later. It's like the mentality here is, we don't know what to expect. We don't know how this AI is going to harm us, so we're going to allow it to happen, and then we'll know, and we can fix it after the fact. These companies need to be shut down. How do you let multiple companies compete with each other to see who can build the world's most destructive weapon the fastest with no safeguards? They might as well be doing gain-of-function research in their grandmother's garage with the bay door open. How are the people making this AI stuff this smart and this ignorant at the same time?
How the f***ing moon landing was f***ing bullshit, because everyone's telling you I was f***ing wrong.
Showed me.
Yeah, so explain to me. Here you go. The guy's getting off the rocket ship. Who the f*** is filming him? Who's filming him?
A guy?
How'd the f***ing guy get up there if this is the first guy that's supposed to be on the moon? A different rocket ship?
I don't know.
So they sent the rocket ship up there. He got off and he's like, all right, come on up now. I'm ready to film.
What if
Are you
the
serious?
same rocket ship?
He's supposed to be the first guy on the moon.
Yeah.
It's bullshit. The car. How the f*** did the car fit in that rocket ship? Look, how did that car fit in the rocket ship?
I don't know.
Okay, right, more bull. Then the guy's floating around with a big cord to his stomach, and they're telling you that's his life support. What's the gift? Was it feeding him through the tube like a baby? They're bouncing around like a off. Yeah, watch. Let me show you. There it goes. Bye-bye. You know what? I'm going to stay behind. You guys go back to Earth. I'll die up here. And how did he get the film back to Earth? Yeah, look, the fake parachute. Hey, we're home now. What happened to the guy back on the moon? They just left him? Everyone guesses they don't have any facts.
I never thought about the lunar rover thing. I tried to do some digging to see if the explanation given for how they got that thing up there even sounded logical. And I did find a video of them supposedly testing how to fit it in the lander and then deploy it once they got there. The thing looks so flimsy in the video though, it looks like it's gonna fall apart when it goes to pop out of the lander. With all the talk about how expensive it was to send a man to the moon, it doesn't look like they put any of that money into the actual equipment that they were using to get there.
Okay, if you're not ready to go for a ride, and I say this with peace and love, keep scrolling. Pentagon UFO whistleblower Matthew Brown just sent a very cryptic message to Elon Musk, and the message, I decoded it, and if I'm on the right path here, it'll make the hair on your arms raise. Let's get into it. So this post came straight from Matthew Brown's account last night, and he warns Elon that the US government already has a secret AI that can literally predict the future. He says Sam Altman betrayed Elon and that the first public sentient AI, they were silenced. The tone of it is very urgent. It's like Elon's being pulled into something that he's not prepared for almost. I don't know. But then it does seem to get deeper. He name drops agencies like the White House, FBI, Navy, Department of Energy, and the NGA. That's the guys who track stuff from space. He mentions something called Marsupial. And allegedly, this is a Trump-era UAP briefing program, and he says that rockets are so 1947. The translation? Well, the government knows how these exotic crafts work, and they're lying about it. But then the post shifts, and this is where it gets creepy. So Matthew Brown shares a hand-drawn circle filled with strange symbols and references a word, Logith. That's not science fiction. It's from an Enochian magic, supposedly the language of angels used by John Dee to contact non-human intelligence. He then ends the post with a cryptic signature, ABORYMON, possibly a nod to a destructive intelligence from ancient texts. So now we've got a Pentagon link figure warning of classified AIs, hidden crafts, betrayal at the top of the tech world, and he layers it all with angelic alphabets and ritual symbolism. It doesn't feel like a rant. It almost feels like a signal or a warning. I don't know. Was he warning Elon, or was it maybe aimed at someone else entirely, using Elon as kind of the excuse?
What do y'all think this is? I wanted to put this in here to kind of take note of some of these statements. That way we'll have them for future reference as more information comes out. Sometimes these cryptic messages reveal a lot of information in their details and start making other things that seem to connect start making sense. So he's talking about the government having an AI that is capable of predicting the future. I'll need to see proof of that one before I believe it. But we did have a government official make a very similar statement about the state of our technology just a couple months ago, when White House Science Advisor Michael Kratsios claimed that we had the technology available that could manipulate space and time. Maybe this is what he was referring to. What do y'all think? This isn't just some random guy making these claims, so it's a little difficult to just write it off.
Albert Pike said this about Freemasonry in this very book. He says that Freemasonry is based almost totally on the Kabbalah.
Yes.
Jewish magic.
Yes.
And many Jewish rabbis have admitted this, and they say that in all of the rituals of Freemasonry, you will find the Kabbalah, the system of magic of the Jews. For example, the 30th degree of Freemasonry is the Knights of Kadosh.
Yes.
And it involves skulls and black robes and a knight laying in a coffin speaking from the dead.
Yes.
And all of this turning to the god of the underworld, the gods of the underworld, is all related to Jewish Kabbalah, because they believe in necromancy, yes, communication with the dead. And they believe that in the last days, a Kabbalistic master will come upon the earth, and there will be a Jewish utopia, a new world order of the Jews. But they must go along with what are called the Noahide laws and be good Gentiles and go along with Kabbalah. And if they recognize that the Holy Spirit is the serpent. And by the way, that's also taught in the 32nd degree of Freemasonry, that is, the serpent is the Holy Spirit. Right. And he is going to encircle the earth.
That's some of the most blasphemous ideology I've ever heard of. To contribute evil to the Holy Spirit is a very dangerous game. I was a little iffy about posting this one because there are some really strong opinions about Israel and the Jewish people right now. And I'm not going to give my opinion on that because I'm not trying to divide my audience with what most would see as a political opinion. The reason I added this was to show the connection here between the Freemasons and this religious element. I've talked a lot on here about how these evil elitist cult groups like the Freemasons all are heavily influenced by Scripture and clearly believe in the God of the Bible. They're just actively fighting against him. And I've been asked many times to present the evidence for that, and here it is. I feel like this is important for people to be aware of because this is one of the major contributors to me waking up and finally seeing what's going on in the world. And having this realization is one of the things that led me down the path that eventually led me to finding Jesus.
I believe they are the ones in charge. That's why they mingle amongst us, and I believe they want us to reach a spiritual level somehow. There was a talk about souls. They were interested in our soul somehow. How do we have a soul? How does this container hold a soul? That was a strange conversation. I thought, man, that's just weird stuff people talk about on this base.
Well, that is critical. This is the most critical of all the subjects that you have mentioned. Can you describe where you were and who you were talking with or listening to about the containers and the souls?
I was sitting outside of my office, smoking a cigarette at the table with all the guys from the 732nd, the communication guys that listen to people talk. There was a couple of officers there. There was a first lieutenant and a second lieutenant, and then I believe there was a lieutenant colonel. They were talking about how these beings from other planets were interested in our soul. How did our soul get in our body, and how could they extract our soul? How did it fit? Could they move the soul to another vessel? Stuff like that. It was like, it was crazy, but I just listened, and it started to make some sense that these beings from other planets are interested in our soul. And how is it in the container? And they could repair our containers and do all kinds of stuff to us, but they couldn't get our soul. They wanted to know how to capture the soul.
And the person telling this knew this information because why?
Because he worked in the Cunilla Tunnel, and he was one of the officers that listened to otherworldly communications, and he had, I think it was 18 years of service in intelligence. So when you get to a certain level of intelligence, you've already been around the block and been a lot of places. So he knew firsthand that they were looking to find out how to get our souls out of our body, if they could capture our soul. It was very interesting to them.
And did this person who was talking, who was working in the Cunilla Tunnel, say that that implied that the humanoids in charge of the Greys and the ones that had made these 4 experiments of standing up primates, of which we Homo sapiens sapien are the 4th, that those humanoids do not have souls?
Didn't say anything like that, but you know what? It made you wonder, how are they so interested in their soul? I don't know. He didn't say. He just said they were extremely interested in our souls, and that this was an Earth school. We were on an Earth school. Our souls were in school. Somehow this is where our souls came to learn. And they wanted to know how to get our souls, the knowledge of the souls or something that we've learned in this lifetime.
I'm still working off the idea that these are not aliens, but demons. And I think this, if true, adds more evidence to that. And it also gives us the explanation that we've been looking for. We were just talking in yesterday's video about what the purpose would be for all of these alien abductions to still be taking place. Because it doesn't make sense that they would be abducting us just for biological experiments if they've been here the whole time that we've been around. That would make perfect sense that they're trying to get access to our souls. And if they're interested in our souls, that doesn't sound like an alien to me. That sounds like a demon. You have to have a soul and be saved to gain entry into heaven. Maybe they're realizing that their time is almost up, and out of desperation, they think maybe they can sneak their way back into heaven if they can get their hands on a soul. Again, I'm just thinking out loud here. I'm not saying this is what I think. I do feel like it's a little difficult to believe this guy though, because I heard a lot of statements in there that just sound like straight up misinformation. Like, for example, he says that we were created by these things. We weren't created by no aliens. We were created by God. He also says that they're from another planet. I've seen no evidence that these things are coming from outside of our atmosphere, but I've seen a ton of evidence showing that they've been here with us for a long time. I just thought this was interesting because it actually offers up a pretty reasonable explanation for why all of these abductions are taking place. It makes them make sense. But I would listen to everything this guy says with a heavy dose of skepticism, specifically for those reasons that I mentioned a moment ago. However, I see it all the time that someone gets the big picture idea around something, but then starts falling apart when they get in the details. Maybe he's got the abduction purpose right, but he's just horribly misinformed about everything else. It happens. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. I'll be back soon with another video. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my merch store at barry-stepp.com. I intend to start working on some new shirt designs tonight, so those will be coming down the pipeline soon. And don't forget to post photos of your merch over in the Discord to get your photo in a video. But guys and gals, I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next one.